We wanted to do a haunted swamp tour.
I don't do night tours anymore. In death, there are no accidents, no coincidences. I'll see you soon. I'm going to take unless the Flash gives me what I need.
Hello, hello, hello. How is everybody doing? Feeling real ominous. It feels real ominous to open up a live with some Tony Todd deep cuts and didn't even have to try. Thank you guys so much for being here. We already have 50 plus people in here ready to get into Tony Todd. Of course, you guys already know how it goes. If you are not new here, if you have any thoughts or any theories, be sure to drop them down there in the chat on all single platforms. And if you see anybody here for the first time and you love what they had to say and you want to go and support them and go check out what else they have to offer on their channel, get over there and subscribe to them. But we got a watch along to do after this, so I am not going to keep you guys waiting because we have a whole lot to talk about and some really great guests backstage to talk about them with. Bringing them out first because who doesn't want to bring out Ken first? Because he's just, it's Ken, child. Let's bring him on out. Ken, over there with Sledgehammer Horror, are you ready to talk about Tony Todd?
You know that I'm ready. Thank you so much for having me to talk about someone that really honestly meant a whole lot to me and Ashley. So
yeah, I'm here for that. I saw your post after I asked you. I was like, oh, this is just perfect timing. I would love to have someone on who had any close proximity with him just to see and maybe speak on how the vibes were. So I appreciate you for being here.
Oh yeah, trust me. We got some things to say about him and his vibe for sure tonight.
Here for the first time, I have never had this gentleman on, and I'm really looking forward to hearing what he has to say and how he feels about, being on the channel. The Night Watch Zone. How are you feeling about Tony Todd?
Hey, what's up? What's up?
Night!
What's up, baby? What's up, baby?
What's up, man? I didn't know you were gonna be here tonight. Oh my god!
Was that shifted? He blowing kisses? Really, Ken?
That is my guy. Okay, that is my dude. That is my oos. That is my dog.
My oos. Never heard that one. I'm happy for that. I'm really great that you get to collaborate with your oos and talk about Tony Todd.
That's right, man.
How are you feeling about being here?
I'm really excited to do this because Tony Todd, obviously a legend, and I'm still processing it. He meant so much to me growing up at a time when he was really like taking off and just seeing his career. So it hits hard. It really hits hard. So I'm glad we get a chance to, kind of talk about him tonight and show him some love.
Yeah, absolutely. Quanah, lady in the back, how are you feeling about getting in here in this horror space? Because I know how much you love horror, but just like myself, we may not have those horror channels, but we in a horror house. How you feeling, Quanah?
I'm feeling good. How is everybody doing tonight?
Good. I'm happy you're here.
Really excited to talk about Tony Todd, a man of great range. Mm-hmm. I met him as Mr. Right in Lean on Me.
Oh wow.
Yes.
As Mr. Daniel, Candyman, and so I'm excited. He will be missed. My goodness.
Yeah. And last but not least, we already know that Brandon is in the back, and Brandon always has really great things to say. And I'm hoping that he is here to talk and indulge in Tony Todd just as much as we are. Hey, Brandon.
Hello. Thanks for having me on. Hello, everybody. I hope everybody's having a great evening.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, absolutely.
We are. Like, I'm just ready to dive in if that's all right with y'all.
Yeah.
That's all right with y'all, because I just feel like it's kind of been understated all that he has contributed, because a lot of people just go, oh, the guy who played Candyman. I'm like, well, he did a whole lot with that. So I'm hoping to shine some light on that and also have a good time with you guys in the process. For anybody who is here, we very much get into depth in the chat and all that other good stuff. But I am somebody who likes to stay on task and keep it rolling. If you have anything that you want to contribute to the conversation on anybody's channel, make sure to super chat your thoughts so we can get into the pocket and acknowledge what you guys have to say. But let's go. Let's go. We're going to start here because I wanted to start a little messy and be divisive. Let's see. Let's put us over here so we can all see before we get into this gentleman. There we go.
All Tom said no, no, no. And having my aunt tell me never say no, never take no for an answer, I convinced him, and I was able to recreate the role that Dwayne Jones did, Good Night, Living Dead.
Now we're going to start here because I just want to open a little hot because I know this is always kind of a back and forth with people deciding which one they want to go with. Because I am an avid. I'll go first. I love the 1990s Night of the Living Dead and what they were able to do with that and kind of change up, especially what they did with Barbara. Because oh my gosh, but it's something really prevalent, and it just resonates every single time, especially with that ending with Night of the Living Dead. And I just think Dwayne did an awesome job. And he was always one of those actors I wanted to see get more work. And it was just really prolific for the time. And I just love, it's like my A1, it's the original. And you can't really just go wrong with that. But I do have a special place for Night of the Living Dead 1990 remake. But if I have to go, I'm gonna go with that first one. Quana, what about you? Where are you going?
Okay, so I love zombie movies. I love Night of the Living Dead. Dwayne Jones is such an icon. And for the only reason that as much as I really do love Tony Todd in the remake, I would hate to take out Dwayne Jones. So I'm going to go with the OG.
Yeah. And that's okay. That's okay to go with OG. We will live, but I just
Tony's night.
I know, but no, that's why I put it here. I just wanted to start off a little hot because I've had people, they go, well, no, I'm going with that was terrible. Like it's all about that 1990s. It's okay to have a difference in opinion. I just wanted to see what you guys would say. Brandon, what about you? Where are you going? And have you seen them?
Oh, of course. I love both of these movies. I understand the significance of the original, of course, with George Romero and starring a black lead way back in 1968 or 9 was an incredible movement. But I'm going to go with the remake because I think it holds more of a special place in my heart. It was the first zombie movie and horror movie that I watched as a young lad growing up. And I'm like, this feels like it means more than like social commentary wise. I feel like there's some underlying meaning. So it got me more interested in horror, and it then kickstarted my journey through George A. Romero's zombie movies. I'm definitely going with the 90s 100% on this one.
Yeah, it is. It has some of those and stuff. I just love when which I'm sure I have a shot of it here, when he comes out of that basement and he's the zombie. It's just so great. Ken, what about you? Where are you going?
I said it on our Versus episode. And I'm going to say it now, and I'm going to stick with it. I think that 1990 improved on every single thing that 1968 did, except for the ending. I think that the ending is what left a lot to be desired. I thought the importance of what they did with Dwayne as Ben in the ending of 1968 was a much bigger statement. But you had this impossible role to fill. And you look at remakes, and whether it's, Nightmare on Elm Street, you have Jackie Earle Haley playing Freddy, and people are like, that's not my Freddy. I can't do that. Child's Play, the nude look at Chucky, like the doll looks stupid. I can't do that. No one ever thought that about Tony Todd as Ben. He went flawlessly into that role. Patricia Tallman is a much better Barbara in that film. I like everything about 1990 more than the original, except for that ending. I think the ending is super important for the original, but everything about 1990 is just, it's magnificent. The whole movie is just, it's breathtakingly beautiful even to this day. So yeah, 1990 for me.
The effects are really, really good in 1991. Night Watch Zone, how about you?
The first of all, these are both excellent movies. That's number one. Savini did a great job with the 90s film, but the original had this nuance to it, right? Like as soon as it starts off, you got that music creeping in, you got that wide shot of the road and everything like that. And I agree with Ken, the ending is definitely more powerful in the original. I'll never forget the first time I saw the original, and my heart literally stopped when I saw that. Tony
Yeah.
was great
Yeah.
in this film, and I absolutely loved the way he made the character of Ben his own in a way. Like he didn't try to copy what Dwayne did.
No.
And that's a tough choice to make, right? Um I think that the newer film definitely has that more aggressive feel, and like you said, the practical effects are fantastic, obviously with Savini behind the scenes. But if I had to pick one movie, I gotta go with the OG. I gotta go with the Romero film. I love Savini's movie. I truly do. It's actually one of my favorite remakes. But I think that the original has like a lot of just a little touches here and a little nuance, and it just really, I don't know. It hits harder for me. But it's close. It's close, and that gives a lot of credit to Savini, Tony Todd, and Patricia Tallman, and everyone involved with the newer film.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And shout out to the 75 people in here. We are very grateful to have you. What you saying, Ken?
I want to co-sign what Knight said. Both of these are amazing movies. Like I would never be
Mhm.
sad if one of them was on. If
Right.
the original was on, I wouldn't be like, damn, I wish it was the remake or vice versa. Like they both
Right.
have a very important role. So I agree. They're both just absolutely fantastic movies.
Yep.
Let's see. I get in here because I want to know where, like, I love what Quanta said when you got on here. Like, shout out to Lean on Me, because I think everybody has maybe seen him in a different capacity or other. And I'm going to kind of save
If you feel
for last because that's the epitome of when you think about Tony Todd. But I just maybe wanted to lean into other things where you maybe had seen him first, because maybe you didn't meet him through Candyman, and maybe you met him through something else, and you maybe didn't know it was him.
say no, never take no for an answer, I convinced them, and I was able to recreate the role that Dwayne Jones did in Night of the Living Dead.
Absolutely was, and it was great. I actually have this on DVD, and then it's in the background. Look at
If you feel passionate about something that is waiting to be inspired, find your path, find your glory.
absolutely.
Mm.
Ken, I'm going to come back to you first because we get into movies, we get into television, and we get into voice acting. Even if it's Candyman, even though I'm going to lean into that towards the end, what is your first memory of Tony Todd? Because he's been here since Platoon all the way down to what I'm assuming, of course, would be his last role with I think it's Final Destination Bloodline. But he's been in over 100 roles. This man has never met a horror movie that he didn't like.
For me, ironically enough, it was Night of the Living Dead. My grandma. So the people that know Sledgehammer Horror or Candyman or Ken Sledge or whatever you want to call me tonight, I grew up in a video store. My parents owned a mom and pop video store, and my grandma was a huge fan of Night of the Living Dead '68. And when the remake came out on VHS, we got it together, and that was the first time I had ever seen him, and I fell in love with him. I thought he was absolutely fantastic. I thought he was amazing, and I still do to this day. Like there's just so much about this guy that is so like he's just it sucks. Like this sucks because like if has anybody else on the panel met him?
No, I haven't. No.
No.
Man, like
Almost.
like quick story. I won't go on too far, but we got to meet him a couple times, and the first time I met him, I walked up and I shook his hand. And he was like, "What's your name?" I said, "Ken Sledge." And he was like, "Ken, you have a great aura about you. You have a great energy, and I appreciate that about you." And I literally told him, I was like, I could die right now, and I would be fine with that. Like he had this energy, and he had a way to make me feel like the biggest person in the room. And he was super just kind, and took a picture with me, Ashley, and our friend Raven, and he just wanted to talk, just kept talking, and he loved horror. He was a huge horror movie fan. And he was just so kind to everybody that I'd ever, and like I said, every time we met him, he was willing to talk with us and just sit and have a discussion. And the admiration and respect I had for Tony Todd, the human being, surpasses that of what I had for Tony Todd, the actor. Because when we met him, that was in Cincinnati. When we saw him again in Indianapolis, he remembered Ashley and I. And he was like, the Sledges, nice to see you again. And I've said a million times, I wanted him to narrate the story of my life. And if it wasn't going to be him, it was going to be Knight. And Knight can verify that I've told him that before, that it was either going to be Tony Todd or him that was going to narrate my life on tape. And it was a huge blow to find out he was gone. It was the most, like, we were at, our son had just, their football team had just won the district title. And we were on the field, we were celebrating with the trophy, and I got, the phone call that Tony Todd had passed away. And it was such a bittersweet moment because I'm so happy and proud of my son. And I'm literally heartbroken because a guy that, made me feel like the biggest person in the world at one point, that it has been a huge part of my life since I was a child, was just gone. And none of us knew he was sick. None of us knew what he was battling. And it just sucks. Like, this sucks. I hate the fact that he's gone. He was, whatever plane of existence he's on now is just got 10 times better with that man being a part of it now.
I love that, Ken. It's definitely a section here for just him exuding kindness and the type of actor that he was. And it's not just, acting, but it just really being that he was an actual good person. So I did want to acknowledge that. But I definitely met this man through Candyman. I met this man through Candyman. I have a vivid memory of my I'm just gonna be terrible. So mom was like, I went to Blockbuster and I rented some movies for us to watch. And I was like, all right, cool. What you got? She was like, I got, Candyman. I was like, all right. Having a little sleepover with my cousin. Thought we were doing something, watching some horror. Scared the dog shit. Scared the dog. It scared me. I think I had to be about 7. Scared the mess out of me. And that's where I met him. He ruined medicine cabinets until I was an adult. I was like, yeah, what's happening? We got to double check it just to make sure I can't peek my hand through the other side. But it was really nice to get into where all the voice acting in television, and he worked really hard.
Yes.
He worked very, very hard and had longevity when it's so easy, especially back then, for actors to kind of get, passed around and forgotten about. And he continued to work up until this day. And I thought that was really, really impressive. Night Watch, where did you meet Tony Todd?
It was definitely through Candyman as well. And my story, it kind of parallels off of what y'all were saying, because when I was a kid growing up, obviously Blockbuster was the place to go to, especially for me and my brother, my younger brother. And I think it was also a way for my parents to keep us in line. If you don't act right, you're not going to be able to rent any movies this weekend. And we're like, oh, okay, we gotta be cool. And I had just recently kind of gone on my own horror fandom. I had become a horror fan, and watching all the the big movies from the 80s, all the slashers. And when Candyman came out, I had no idea what it was about. And I remember watching it, and I remember going into school, and a lot of us talked about movies, and everybody was like, did you see Candyman? Did you see Candyman? And people, like, it was such a big buzz. And of course, for me growing up as a young Black kid, it was like, man, that was a good movie. Like, it wasn't just a good horror movie. Like, it was a good movie, and his presence and everything he brought to it. It was just like at this upper echelon, you know what I'm saying? And from that point on, I was hooked. I was hooked on him as an actor and everything he did. I mean, like you said, he's done so many things over the years. And I just loved him. I truly did. And like Ken said, this hurts. It hurts so bad. I haven't even really, I think last night when I streamed on my channel was the first time I kind of publicly even said something, because it really hurts. Because for me growing up, like, he was such a big thing in all these years following him, and to think that we've lost him, it's truly a hard thing to deal with. But yeah, Candyman was the first thing, Night of the Living Dead was the second, and then it just kind of kept rolling from there. Because at that time, I was eating movies up, especially horror movies, like renting them like almost every weekend. So yeah, Candyman is one of my favorite films of all time, you
Yes.
know. So
Mhm.
and there's a reason for that. It's just such a fantastic film from top to bottom, and he obviously is the biggest part of that. Like the weight of the film is on his shoulders. If he doesn't work, that film doesn't work.
At all. Say it.
Yeah,
Shout out to
you
Virginia.
know.
I loved it. I loved it.
Yeah.
Quana, I'm going to come to you next, but I want to bring the man of many hats and very, very fabulous mustaches out here to join the panel and hear what he has to say about this man as well. Paulie with the Latino slant, welcome to the chat. Oh, man, let me put here we go.
Hello. Hi, everybody. Sorry I'm
Hey.
late.
Hey,
It's fine. Thank you for being here, Paulie.
Oh yeah, this is you know, bittersweet, but it's great to talk about people we love, people that entertain us, legacy, legend. You know, this is what it's all about, struggles. Look at the makeup of this panel. So tonight we're connected with, you know, the great Tony Todd, and yeah, so I'm really happy to be here. I know I'm just jumping in. I'm late, you know, and that's so I do apologize.
Yeah,
Struggles.
you're fine, Tom. I'm just happy you made it, Paulie. Quana, where did you meet this man? Was it spooky ooky, or did you meet him and Lean on Me like a positive situation?
I met him on Lean on Me.
Okay.
That was a movie that if it was on, we were watching it. There was not a time that my mom or dad were going to skip past Lean on Me. And it's so funny because I don't know that I've watched it in years, but I can remember him coming in as like the head of security.
Mm-hmm.
And he didn't have a lot of lines, but his presence was always felt. Like when they're confronting the drug dealer outside and he's got to put the chains on the door. And I can remember, you know, Morgan Freeman as Joe Clark going, it's like, you know, Mr. Wright, Mr. Wright going to handle it and getting on the walkie-talkie and calling his name. And he was so like just tall and imposing and strong in those scenes.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know that I ever connected it with his horror movie work until much later when I had gotten much older in life and was able to kind of like deep dive and know who these people were and kind of really understand like actors. Candyman I didn't see for a while because I saw it. I remember my parents watching it, renting it from the movie store and watching it and me watching it through the blanket. So this summer it was really popping. I was at the YMCA. Kids would be going into the bathroom trying to do the candy, you know, say Candyman 5 times in the mirror. And I knew what that was, but I was like, no, I'm not going. I was so terrified to go to the bathroom because I was scared I was going to be trapped in with a kid who was going to want to say Candyman. And so I did not watch it until probably I was like a teenager, and then was like, okay, I can sit down. I can watch this now. Like I'm into horror movies now. I spent the Thanksgiving break watching Ice Cream Man and a bunch of other stuff, and I was like, I'm ready for Candyman. I've graduated.
Not Ice Cream Man, Quana.
Listen, some Howard Boys.
You was watching that and you rolled over and watched The Dentist. Brendan, where did you meet Tony Todd?
I think I met Tony Todd with Final Destination of his portrayal of Bludworth, and it's always such a pleasure seeing him on screen because whenever he is on screen, he usually tends to steal the entire scene. And I remember him scaring the crap out of me in that scene for how short it is. It's just the unsettlingness of it, and his voice is just sticks with you, and it's so majestic. I love his voice. And like I've gone on to see like all of his like voice acting work as well. Like I didn't know he was doing Venom in the Spider-Man 2 game that just came out, and then I watched a bunch of clips and I'm like, oh, they could not have gotten a more perfect actor for that role. And even I might have even heard him first in Transformers. I think Rise of the Fallen, which he played the Fallen, and I didn't know that until today, and I started looking through his filmography. So I'm like, oh yeah, I see it. So yeah, but I think Final Destination was the first, especially where when I saw him, he stuck with me for a few days afterwards.
I love that. I love that, Brandon. That's why I wanted to host this, because a lot of people don't know. Like this, when he died, it felt so personal. I was like, what? It felt really personal. And I never met this man in my life, but just knowing once I got into horror and just what we had, and of course we'll dive into it later, but our Black horror icons, I was like, he's ours. And he is, he's been forward facing for us for a long time. So I was always trying to be on top of where he was and what he was doing. And, just so I was tracking it, and I was like, oh, he's done like some really, really amazing stuff. But for, lack of a better word, it's just like, oh, it's the Candyman guy. Like, no, the career run's really, really thick. And lastly, Paulie, where, because I know Paulie was out there in the streets. Paulie, where did you see Tony Todd for the first time, first memory?
Yeah, man. I'm 54, so at that time, I know, I don't look it right. At that time, though, I was in college. It was Tripping the Lights, fantastic, man. Let me tell you. So it was a really kind of weird time in as far as movie watching, TV watching. So I think it was X-Files.
Yeah, Sleepless.
Because that episode, and I sent an article to you, Struggles.
Yeah.
I am a diehard X-Files fan, and I was a diehard X-Files fan. Season 1, this girlfriend that I had at the time, we got right into it, watching it every week. So season 2, so that was such a striking episode, Sleepless, and then my memory kind of like bounces around The Rock. Lean on Me, because it's like those one-liners, the presence. It just would scare the crap out of you. But that being said, in rewatching, so what I did yesterday is I rewatched the episode of X-Files and Final Destination and Night of the Living Dead. This man has got just a beautiful gravitas, and he's just got one of those careers where, I think you guys were saying earlier is that he's just gonna work, and he worked. That's Tony Todd, and the timing of things was like, you also had Sam Jackson just taking all the big roles in the 90s that easily he could have fit into. Maybe some of them he should have. But that's just the way acting and actors go. I'm married to one. I know the ups and downs. And we got so close playing Selena's mom in this one, but it went to this other actor, because there are other types that are like you. And even though he was very original, with his gravitas, with his presence, it's just funny to see. And reading up like what he was up for and what he didn't get and what he did get, the timing of it all, and even with the X-Files work, which led to work on what was it, Homicide and Final Destination, because they were all the same X-Files creators. So and not so much recently, unfortunately for me, but that was just me. So mainly his 90s work really stuck with me.
I've been watching because hey, those B horror movies, I was watching those too. I'm watching everything. If Tony was there, I was watching it because I wanted to support. But there was, later on in the career, I was like, why y'all give my man some roles? But it's like,
right?
Y'all not gonna give him any roles. Like, I'm gonna take and where I can shine and be present in the film. And if it has to be a B, horror, more so 2B-esque situation, I'm going over there and I'm getting my check. And I was always here for that. I was always here for that. Yeah. But for anybody, first of all, everybody just get in here. We are about 10 away from it being 100 folks in here, and I would love for it to be 100. It's always a good feeling. So if you guys could hit that like button, that would be great. But I do want to put a little something together for anybody who maybe just thought that he just did Candyman, and he did a whole lot more than that. Let's put this here.
What are you doing?
My job. Eyes, lungs, pancreas, So many snacks, so little time. Be my victim. You have a life, which I'm going to take, unless the Flash gives me what I need. Betraying my kind is not the same as accepting yours. It can only transform. How is that possible? It's still alive. Bye-bye, Bertie. Damn you! God damn all of you!
Commander rank Klingon Defense Force. You will address me as Commander or Sir at all times.
Do night tours anymore. Insurance got too high after what happened.
I couldn't have left. These are the keys to his... Tamara! What?
So many.
Bravo.
Yep.
So many.
Bravo.
I couldn't get them all. I really
Shout out to the Crow.
Shout out to the Crow.
I
Yeah.
love the Crow. I really wanted some
They-
of this from the X-Files episode because I gave it a little that one sticks out. Like, you know, you have your favorite Tales from the Crypt episode. That one always sticks out, but that one wanted to get copyrighted up and down, so I had to take it out. I had to take it out.
It's
Go
on Hulu now. You can watch it on Hulu, but you know, I watched it through other means yesterday. Shh.
Yeah, I had to take that one out, and I had to take out the scene, you know, from The Rock with him and Nicolas Cage, and the rocket scene when he shoots. You know, I think it was because of the profanity, but whatever. It was fine. The man has been out here, and he has been doing some really, really amazing things, and I just love the fact that no matter what it was, because pretty much after Candyman, he was offered every villainous, like you could be the ominous villain man, and it's just like, well, no, I want that, but I can also do some other things too. So the fact that he tried to branch out and do theater and do multiple things, I thought that was great. But anybody who wants to just speak on, you don't have to stay here too long, but just his ability to I just love that he was working. Like, actors don't do this anymore. Like, he's not, you know, we do, because I was looking, because I'm not really gravitating towards a lot of actors these days, because we do have a lot of nepotism, or we have, you know, repeated actors that we've, you know, loved over the years, but not so many newcomers. And a lot of people are kind of, you know, they're being handed things, and nobody's really working and building a body of work to have some type of resume of anything. It's just like, oh, I started here. Like, no, he started, you know, and had to work his way up from the bottom. So anybody who wants to say anything about that, it's going to be great. Let's see. Quana.
Yeah, no, it's just so much nostalgia just hit me all at once with that. I've always been so mesmerized by his voice, and it was just smooth like butter. Just it's like it's almost like once I was old enough to get into Candyman was horrifying and yet so alluring. And I think he is one of the first villains that really captured that allure of what it means to be a villainous character and to draw people in so that you can get to them. And then, you know, you just hear that voice all the time. Also with even like the independent or the B movies, you know, we don't get that now, where we're flooded with people making movies and maybe not raising the bar on their craft as they go along. Yeah. And back in the day, even if you went straight to DVD or straight to VHS, you know, back in the video store days, there was weight to it. You usually had good actors in those movies. And so you can turn on a Tony Todd movie that never hit theaters. It's still going to be good. Like, he's still going to bring his A game. Mm-hmm. And so I've heard people like him and Whoopi Goldberg talk about just like that voracious hunger to work. And like you see that, he lived that, and he has this body of work that it's just incomparable.
Thank you so much, Quana. Ken.
I think the most impressive thing about Tony Todd himself was it didn't matter if he was the main role, if he was a side role. Every scene that he's in, you remember Tony Todd from that scene, no matter what else is happening around in that scene. And it takes a very special presence to be able to do that. Like we were talking about his roles in Final Destination as Bludworth, or his role in, what was it? I can't think of the Carnival movie. Hellfest.
Oh yeah, Hellfest. Yeah.
And he wanted to continue that. He was willing to do whatever he could to make that into a franchise. And even in Final Destination 3, where he's not physically in the movie, you remember hearing his voice. When they're at the carnival and you hear his voice over the speaker, and there's just so many things about this guy. Secondhand, we were talking to James and Chelsea from Dead Meat, and they were like, the best thing we've ever heard was Tony Todd told us, which we'll tell to you and Ashley now, I hope that you continue to do this as long as you love doing it. It wasn't like, I hope you do this forever. I hope that you do this as long as you love doing it, and then you go on to the next thing that you love. And ever since they said that to us, it stuck with me, and that originated with him. That's his genius, and how much he cared about human beings. It wasn't like, I hope you do this as long as you're making money, or I hope that you do this for the rest of your life. It was, I hope that you do this as long as you're happy doing it. And that's just the type of person that Tony Todd was. And like I said it before, but man, we really lost something special with him. And it's hard to wrap your head around that such an amazing presence is gone. Like it sucks. It really sucks.
It does. Oh my God, Ken, you don't cry up in here now. I ain't built like that.
No, I'm sick.
No. Thank you so much, Dane C, for the super chat. Never got a Sam Jackson / Tony Todd film, RIP. Yeah, we weren't getting that. That would have been. I don't know what that looked like. That would have been really interesting. Thank you so much, Dane. I appreciate you. Oh man. And let's see. Lastly, Brendan, I'm going to come to you with this next question, because you said you met him through this franchise, and I want to see if you remember. Let me see. Let me make it bigger here.
No harm, no foul. I'll see you soon.
Yeah, right? Just all sticky. Okay. Brandon, which one of those Final Destination films did Tony Todd not make an appearance at all? And then I'm gonna come to everybody on the panel, because there's always a discussion on whether or not he is death or he's just, some regular old coroner who's just running around being ominous. Brandon, which film did he not make an appearance in the Final Destination franchise?
I believe it was. Oh, see, the titles get all fucked up after 3. I think it was. Is it the Final Destination? It's Final Destination 4, I believe. He did not make an appearance.
Are you sure, Brandon? Is that your final answer?
I think so. I think I'm good.
Hey, I'm always going to come to you, Brandon. Brandon's always good. And Brandon has never met a question that he did not like or that he did not get right, because he's always going to get it right. This one always sticks out to me, because I was like, where the hell was Tony Todd?
Right?
I think everybody was thinking that.
Yeah.
Where the hell is Tony Todd? Like, who made that decision? Even if he's just there, in voice only, like the third one with the roller coaster.
That's right.
That later one, when it's the I think that ending like subway scene from that recent one, I was like, he needs to be in the film in some capacity. So yes, I know I could always count on you, Brandon. But Night Watch Zone, in these films, is Tony Todd character death to you, or is he just some random coroner? He's just ominous like that?
Well, I when I first started watching the Final Destination series, and I love that series, by the way, but I do think the only mistake they made is I think they could have leaned into him more, like in general throughout the films. But originally I was thinking, man, he has to be death or whatever, but I think he's more like a soldier, connected to death, because he's spoken about death, you don't want to mess with him, blah 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 and all that, talking about the design and so forth. So I don't think he's actually death itself, but he's either an agent, under death, or for all we know, maybe he survived a situation, you know, and that's how he knows what death's design is. And he's just, you know, a survivor doing his own thing. I don't know, but I don't think he's death itself.
Polly, what about you?
Do I think he's like, what's his character importance in the series?
Like in the horror space, Paulie, for whatever reason, it's been a big topic of conversation on what role he plays here in these films.
I think it kind of morphed into something more than, you know, him being a creepy corner, which is just a great line. He could have said anything, really. That was just great. And you know, Final Destination was a rejected episode written of the X-Files.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean, it's so much fun. Yeah, I really don't have a theory. I mean, you know, I don't think they really knew. You know, honestly, because it was kind of went between like different writers and directors, right? All the movies.
Mm-hmm. Yes,
So
unfortunately.
I think they just were having fun with it, but yeah.
Yes, unfortunately. But what's always really a really good thing, we have 102 eyes on us now.
Ooh.
We have 102 eyes on us, and that is always a good feeling. I need all 102 of you to maybe leave here and go check out somebody that you're being introduced to, or, you know, just hit the like button right now and leave me a comment below. That would be great. I'm gonna give y'all, you know, a whole minute to do that, and then we are definitely gonna come back. Thank you guys so much for being here. I appreciate you so much.
Candyman, he's real.
The Candyman does not exist.
Why don't you trust in my self-righteous suicide? I cry when angels deserve to die. In my self-righteous suicide, I cry when angels deserve to die.
Candyman, he's real.
The Candyman does not exist.
When angels deserve to die. Why don't you trust in my
Thank you. Hopefully that gave everybody in here a chance to hit that like button. Now I just want to take a moment and get into the man. As I said, he really came off as a positive figure in the space, and not just, you know, as an actor, but just a great human being. He always seemed really devoted to his fans, taking time to sign and acknowledge folks and the autographs, the conventions and everything. And it just seems like he was kind and humble. So I just wanted to acknowledge that for a second. Let me go back here, and because I like this this video here of him talking about the venom and how much passion he had here.
I'll see you soon.
The kids come up, they try to do the voice, and they do it with such sincerity, and I love that. That makes my day. So for all you kids out there, together, we are Venom!
Isn't that cute? That's so cute, and I just love the trajectory of him just appearing just as ominous as he wants to, because no matter what's being done or said, it's just like, oh, that's the guy from all the horror movies, that's Candyman. Oh my God, I'm scared. I wouldn't want him to come up to me on the street. And he's just as jolly and humble and kind as he wants to be. Ken, I'm going to come to you because I know you had that personal link up, and I know you spoke on it earlier. But yeah, anything about, you know, just that humbleness and that kindness that just exuded from him as a person.
Can you guys hear me?
Yes, we can. I see you frozen.
Okay, I see my screen is frozen.
Yes.
But yeah, I mean, he was just one of those guys that, like I said, he made you feel bigger than you were, and he was the same way with Ashley and with Raven, our little buddy Raven, and he was one of those guys that when you met him, you felt it was an infectious feeling that you got from him. And I'm bummed I didn't get to meet him more. We were supposed to have a big thing with him at Astronomicon in Detroit, and he had to back out at the last minute, which now we understand why. But it's just one of those things where it was like, oh, okay, we'll catch him next time, you know. And you never thought that, oh, well, what if there isn't, you know? And that was it's a hard pill to swallow now. I just, you know, I wish I could have spent more time with the guy. I feel blessed for the opportunities that I got to meet him, and for the maybe 18 minutes of life I've had on this planet that I got to spend with him. But selfishly, I wish I had a little bit more. And to watch him talk about the kids like that, like I said, he was very kind with Raven, who was our little buddy. And so, yeah, it was just, it's a hard pill to swallow. And I wish that there was more people that did the convention circuit that looked at it the way he does.
And Polly, I'm going to bring it back around to you because, like, I know you say you and your wife and the actors in the industry, and just about just actors. Like, I hear so much like shitty stuff about actors now. And I think, you know, that last time I was with you on the live and everybody was talking about the worst encounters they've ever had with an actor, and, you know, they didn't want to sign the autographs, and just about how important it is to have that devotion within that connection with your fan base. I think that's what's giving him longevity, along with him being, you know, iconic and everything also.
I mean, 100%. He's very special. He's very unique, and he's a trained actor. He's a thespian, and, you know, before I think it was maybe Colors, or I forgot what, you know, movie to where, you know, he started like you know,
Platoon.
It was Platoon, right? The Lewis Black story, right? Him and they worked in a bar together, I guess, in the 80s. You know, that's Romy's story straight up as well. New York, hardworking, you know, actress, you know, knocking down doors. And, you know, what's funny too is that she also waited on Gandolfini as well, because he was Tony Todd was a big Gandolfini fan, Sopranos fan. They don't make actors like this anymore, unfortunately. You know, God, I talk about this on various streams. Unfortunately, you know, the trained actor is dead, you know, with the age of social media. So that's so when we do have them come up, you know, they should be praised and celebrated. You know, I made a statement that people got really upset about on X. Funny, right? In regards to trained actors who happen to be Black or Latino or whatever they were. I just said that they're all coming from Britain because they're the best trained, and they're eating up roles, and it's just facts. But people are like, oh, but what about Viola Davis? What about this? I'm like, you're talking about people that were training in the 80s and 90s. I'm talking about right now.
Yeah.
So Tony Todd is part of that. Part of that. He's cut from that tribe, and you know, hang on to those actors, guys. You know, that's why we're here. I mean, we're all you know, we're fanatics some level, on, you know, with our bonds with these amazing actors, amazing creatives. So yeah, those are my thoughts there.
Thank you, Polly. And thank you, Dane C. And I love that you put Freddy Krueger here, because that was kind of the template when Bernard Rose was lobbying for this film. It's like, you know, oh, this is the Black Freddy Krueger, and it's everything but Freddy Krueger. But that was kind of just how, I guess, a template for how iconic it would be for him to portray this character, because not everybody wanted, you know, to see a Black Candyman at all. But thank you so much, Dane. Let's see. And here I'm gonna come to Night Watchman with the next question, just to see what you're thinking. You know, you might get it right. You never know. You might have a whole bag over there. I'm always amazed at who knows what. 'Cause sometimes I don't be knowing a whole bunch of anything. But we have this question here, and you get multiple choice. Always good to get multiple choice. What other avenues has Tony tapped into as a performer? A, singing background vocals on an opera album. B, selling fast food in a commercial. Or C, creating his very own Candyman action figure. Night Watchman? Which one?
Wow. Those are some good choices. I'm gonna, and I really don't. I think I might know the answer, but I'm not gonna say what I think it might be. I'm gonna go with A because that sounds so crazy, but he's so damn talented. You know what I'm saying? So I'll say singing.
Is that your final answer, Night Watch?
For now, it is. For now, it is.
Let's see if you were right. We're always curious to know because I was surprised, but that's what we do when we gather information and get our answers together.
Hello, small change, kind of short.
Taco Bell.
That's your sword.
For only 99 cents or less, you can get lots of great tasting food only at Taco Bell. So if you've got some small change just lying around, there's only one real choice.
Hello, Taco Bell.
Baby, look at him sitting there eating that taco.
He was trying to seduce somebody into getting that taco, wasn't he?
Right? He was working hard.
It worked because I'm going to Taco Bell tonight.
I knew
Please don't. Please, may I suggest something else?
Yes.
I'm just playing. As a great commercial. I mean, the 80s and 90s had the best creative.
They did, man. They were so damn creative and fun to watch.
Look at that.
It is. I just wanted to put this here just to show not only, how long he's been active as an actor, but, literally starting, from the bottom, a lot of the actors that we love the most, especially back then, they started in commercials. And out of all things there, I was like, watch whoever I ask go for that opera because he has that voice. Like, of course he did a little harmonization on the background.
I thought it was C. I totally thought that it was C. I thought that he had created his own Candyman figure.
That's what I thought was the real answer. Yeah.
I tried to keep it.
B just seems so out there that it couldn't be real.
That's how I get you, Ken. Come on now.
Yeah.
That's how I get you.
No, and anytime Tyra asks me a question now, she'll be like Taco Bell. For sure. Final answer.
That was good. I love because I was trying to find, just some because he was all kind of open, but also really privated with other things, that wasn't about his body of work. So I was like, what can I find that we don't? Because I know the and I hate the trivia. It's always like, hey, he got paid $1,000 every time he got stung by a bee. Like, yeah, everybody, y'all know that. Let me find something that maybe nobody knows. That was good. I'm always happy to stump somebody. But leaving here, I think it's about time that we close it on off and get into, what we really came here to talk about and what we really, really know him for. And I wanted to save the best for last because, why not? Let me put this on up here and let's watch this play out.
New young director wanted to see me for a project called Candyman.
That itch would be scratched by a slasher with a hook.
In a nutshell, it's a dark love story.
Violence of slavery to explain the emergence of this monstrous character. Even though he's the monster,
Believe in me.
we will turn out to see blacks in a horror film.
Candyman was really cool because, you're so used to seeing these traditional haunted house movies, and it's like the opposite.
That he doesn't appear into 45 minutes into the film.
He manages to make Candyman someone, I don't know if they love him, but who they love to fear.
Ken, I am going to come to you first. What makes Candyman significant to you? And it doesn't just have to be the main film. It can be, the entire franchise.
Well, as a straight white guy, this movie really affected me deeply, No, what I love about this movie is watching it as a kid, which, by the way, all of you guys earlier were talking about going to Blockbuster. Fuck you. Thank you for putting a bullet in my mom and pop shop's head. But no, as watching this movie as a kid, I didn't differentiate between black and white. I didn't see it like that. And the thing that I remembered most from this as a kid was the little boy that got his dick cut off. Like that terrified me. And to me, it didn't have to do with color or because we weren't raised like that. We were just raised that everybody was equal, and that was it. And so like as a child, I didn't look at it as what I do now, having this amazing political stance. And, like she even says in the movie, black people are assaulted at Cabrini Green every day, but a white woman gets assaulted and the cops are there within 10 minutes. None of that sunk into me as a kid. It was just a scary, scary movie. And I think that this is how you do a movie with a social message, how you make it a horror movie first, but you have your social messages to go along with it. And it's very important to be able to go out and especially, Clive Barker, what he's able to do, he's always done that with his films. And I just think that and it still stands the test of time. I think this movie is just as scary now as it was the first time I had seen it. And one of the most heartbreaking parts of any movie to me is in this movie when she's leaving the fire and he's like, come back to me. Like he's really heartbroken. Like that's the love of his life. We're not supposed to root for him, but it really is a tragedy. And for him to see her leaving him again and, he's begging her, just come back. I've waited all this time to find you. I finally found you and you're leaving me again, Helen. Like that. Ah, man, that to me, yes, there is a Lorena Bobbitt scene in this movie and you'll see it. The little boy loses his wee-wee. And as a kid, that like I'm telling you, like for real, I was like, hey, whoa, that's my best friend. Like, that's off limits. We don't do that shit. And I'm also allergic to bees. I'm like Macaulay Culkin and migraine. I can't see without my glasses. So there was just so much about this movie that just really genuinely scared me as a kid. And I think Candyman is worthy of being up there on, the Mount Rushmore of horror villains. Like, yeah, sure, he gets a lot more slasher and kind of ridiculous in 2 and 3. 2, he's still great, but 3 is ridiculous. But he's still himself. Just this movie alone solidifies him as one of the scariest horror villains of all time. Because we all had a Candyman or a Bloody Mary or a Bo Peep or some type of urban legend like that. And it all encapsulated, whether you were from the East Coast, West Coast, up north, down south, it all encapsulated in Candyman. And whatever that urban legend you had in your area rang true with this film. So we all had that person in that urban legend that we could relate to Candyman.
I know for me, probably as a kid, first of all, it was scary. That's just stop there. It was scary. And this was just the things you did at slumber parties. Like, I bet you won't go in there. I was like, oh, all right. It was, it was a part of the childhood and kind of like a rite of passage. Like I did it and I didn't die. Just terrible things. But I know now, or older, or even when I just really got into movies, probably like early 20s, I was just like, oh, this is different. And just acknowledging things that, I didn't acknowledge before, because as far as I was concerned, I was like, he's black. That's all. That was like, he's black, and that's what makes us different. And he's ours, and he's black. And we don't get a lot of black villains and slashers in films, so that's what just makes it significant. Like, no, this film is just so. This is probably the first thing that's going to come out of my mouth when everybody says like, "Oh, nothing was ever elevated as far as horror up until now." Because they love that elevator word and elevated. I was like, "Well, have you seen this? Have you seen that?" Those undertones and the political and social commentary, all those things were always there. But I know what made him special for me, especially in like the slasher space. He talks. He talks, and it's not even just like, because we can get into some Chucky, because Chucky talked too, but there's such a like gravitas, ominous sophistication in like this dark gothic tragic lost love story. And then you get into like the other racial undertones of getting older. So I'm like, baby, we didn't wrong you. Why you in the Cabrini Green knocking off the blacks? Never like that. But hey, chasing after this white woman, we're gonna leave that over there. This ain't that kind of life. Those things are always there, the older you get and the more that you get into the film. But just what he was able to bring here to this character, I didn't really realize how prevalent it was until I think I was like 25 and I had first watched like the Phantom of the Opera. And I was like, why is this reminding me of somebody? I was like, what is this? I was like, oh, I see it. I get it. Oh my God, this is so great. But there's just so much depth here with the character that made this just really, really outstanding and detailed in a way that we don't really get with any other slashers. He's really the only slasher like this. Brandon?
Candyman, for me, what stands out is always Tony Todd's first appearance in the parking garage.
Oh,
and he's just standing there, and you just hear that voice echo, and makes your skin get goosebumps from listening to it. But he's so suave.
Yes,
he's got the big fur jacket on. It's something that not that I can recall watching it for the first time, a slasher dressed that way and so classy, and he's seducing this woman.
Mm-hmm.
It's just an incredible performance, and I think Farewell to the Flesh isn't a great movie, but you get such an amazing performance from Tony Todd with his backstory of Candyman. You get that small little snippet in there. I feel like we can't, like, we got to bring that to light here rather than just the original with his performance of this character. But also like the bees coming out of his mouth, and it is just an image that will stick with you for eternity, basically. But this movie is absolutely terrifying, and it's fantastic. It deserves to be up in the top 10 of horror movies of all time, in my opinion.
Yeah, I would say unfortunately, but no, I haven't seen the original in a little bit, but I have watched the second one just because I wanted to see how it aged and how I felt about it recently, but before his, untimely passing. And I was like, oh, I see. I love the New Orleans setting. That is just such a shift. And, he got a new jacket and stuff. I was like, all right, I see you. He got a different look. And it has an additional tone, and we get deeper into his lore in that one. So I appreciate that one for that. I don't acknowledge the third film at all. Polly, what makes this significant for you?
This is this role performance is everything. If he did nothing else, that would still be okay.
Yeah.
It's seminal. Meaning before it was nothing. There was nothing like it. Whether and yes, I just to add on to that. Later on, coming back to this film, you're just like, oh man, some deep social messages going on that I did not get, but there was a lot I could relate to. But before all that, it just terrified me. But it was almost like a terrifying, and I'm also being seduced at the same time. And it's just so beautiful and scary, and just
felt sorry for him, and he was running around people.
Yep.
It's grand. It's a grand performance. That's just it. And I'm looking. We saw this, I believe, either early this year. And we absolutely loved it, and can't wait to see it again. We're watching it tonight, right, or something like that.
Yes, we are.
Yeah. So I mean,
Can't wait.
Those are my thoughts.
Thank you.
They do. I just wanted to talk to Dave in the chat. They do kind of talk about why he is called Candyman in this movie when they go into the mirror and they find the razor candy, and they go really in depth with it in the sequel, the 2021 Candyman, that the sequel to the film. They really go more in depth as to why he's called the Candyman. I know people call it a reboot or a remake. It is a sequel. It's a direct continuation of part one, but they go more into it in that than they do in this one. But they do talk about it when they go into the mirror in this movie.
Mm-hmm.
Night Watch Zone, what makes it significant for you?
Well, it's significant because, and it's already been said, but I mean, he was just so amazing. You hadn't seen anything like that, growing up at that time, and you had the other slashers, you had Jason and Freddy and Michael and Leatherface and all this. And then you get Candyman, that first time you see him, and Helen, it's like, what? Wait a minute. What's what? And right as soon as you saw him, you knew it was going to be something different and something special. I'll never forget that as a little kid. I was just like, whoa. Like I'm almost in a trance like Virginia Madsen, she was hypnotized for that scene, And I think everyone, connected with the film knew it was going to be, something pretty special. And it just plays out so well. It truly does. His performance was magnetic. And I like I said, when we first started the stream, talking about it with friends and people in school, everybody had the same type of reaction. They were just kind of like in awe. They were creeped out, but they also had this sense of, it was almost like a sadness too, because it's really a love story, right?
Mm.
And it's under this camouflage of a horror film, of a slasher film, right? But it's really a love story, and not just the love with him and Helen, but what happened to him as a man, right? And so you have all of those things coming together at the same time. And to me, that's why the film has stood the test of time. That's why he, as that character, has stood the test of time, because how special all these elements were and how intelligent that film really was. I mean, you watch, and you all know that because you've seen the film, but for those who may not be as familiar with it, or maybe haven't seen it in a while, it's such an intelligent film, and his presence, again, it worked so well, right in rhythm with the film and what they were trying to achieve. So it's a powerful movie. I'll never forget the first time I talked about it on a live stream. Me and a couple of the people on the panel, we were all kind of getting emotional because we were just talking about just what he brought to the film and how he enhanced an already great story. So, it's a fantastic film that it just stands the test of time because it's so good and his performance is wonderful.
Absolutely. If Tony Todd wasn't here and that spine chilling score was not here, this would not be the same movie.
That's right.
The score, oh my God, the way that score
That's right.
off is so scary. And Quana, because the people say they want to know how is this significant to you?
Yeah, I mean, I think you said it right there. Like Tony Todd, he brought Candyman to life in such a way that I don't think anyone could really ever fill the shoes. I don't think Clive Barker could have ever taken this short story back to England after he got his hands on it and tried to make it over there in its original form. And I remember reading the short story in college because I'm English major and creative writing major, and not even, knowing it was the same, but not knowing it was the same, because I think what Tony Todd brought to the character, and of course they added elements into the script that weren't in that story, but I think he really just the elevator word, he elevated it. His presence, what he did, we had never seen a villain like that in a horror movie in that way, and he was larger than life. And so Candyman was larger than life, because I think, for me, there's some messiness with the script. The script isn't perfect by bringing it over and trying to change it from just class to making it more racially focused. Like there's some holes that I think weren't fully fleshed out with what that meant. But all in all, I think like the romance is solid. If that added element, he wasn't even there, and it was just somebody trying to come back for this, this person who was brought back or reincarnated in this other form, it would still be chilling. It would still be haunting. And I think that's him. I think that's Tony Todd. I think it's that beautiful score. I do think that the setting is its own creature as well. I'm so daggone happy that they brought him back for the 2021 sequel, because if they hadn't, I knew that they would. I don't think Nia DaCosta or Jordan Peele would make a Candyman movie and not pay respects to him. But if they hadn't, I would have rioted. So yeah, I mean, this movie is so good. I 3. I'm with we're gonna
Something about 3. Say something about Day of the Dead.
3 had its moments, and I wanted so much for 3. But I think they weren't really given the backing that they needed to make it a better movie to live up to the greatness of the first. I mean, the first is just it's so good. You can still put it on and it doesn't feel that aged. It just feels like you captured the moment in time.
I can't wait. Can't wait. But I didn't want to just make that the last recent installment obsolete. We're definitely going to spend just a moment on that to acknowledge it. But just some I guess some random facts about the Candyman film, just in case somebody wanted to know and didn't know. There I think I saw it in the chat, but hey, maybe somebody didn't know because I could never see this. But originally, they wanted Eddie, and I put Eddie here in his coat so y'all can get the visual. BB Eddie's victim. They Die Hard wanted Eddie Murphy for Candyman, and I just couldn't even imagine why would y'all even utter that. And of course, we know about the $1,000 per bee sting because why? And if you ever get a chance to just watch some of Tony Todd's in-depth interviews where he's talking about the process and the filmmaking, and he was just really, really involved in a way that I didn't know at first, but he had a very heavy hand on what and how Candyman should be depicted and kind of how that should go. And of course, child, the NAACP wasn't having it. So, we are giving massive pushback for this because we have a natural fear out here in the world of black brothers already, and here y'all come with this black villain. We don't want to see it, and the director really had to lobby for why this would be different and why it means something to have him here in this role. And originally it was supposed to be maggots, which I'm glad they didn't go with. The bees are a character all on their own, so I'm really glad that they didn't go with those maggots. And a lot of the romantic scenes, which explains a lot, were cut out of this film because them folks were worried. Y'all know who them folks are. They were worried about how it would be looked at or what it would do to the film or the credibility, or because this film was successful. It's like we gonna cut down on some of that, but it would really get you more into Helen's character and why she's so indecisive about what she wants to do and where she wants to go, because not only is she hypnotized, but eventually there are a lot of more romantic elements in her kind of falling for him. But yeah, they cut all that out.
Let me get this straight. It's like you can cut that little kid's dick off, but don't you dare kiss that white woman.
Pretty
we
much.
have to draw a line somewhere, sir.
Pretty much. That's
so fucked up.
That would have made so much sense too for how her husband was.
Yeah.
And that she would have been so much more drawn to Candyman because here was this man who actually was like interested in kind of pursuing her. Glad they went with bees though. Bees are a lot more sophisticated than maggots.
Yeah,
too.
That scene where they are on the whatever that spinning thing, and he's like spinning her, and he picks her up, and like when she tries to stab him, and he wakes up. It's such a beautiful scene actually, and he kisses her. Like that scene was really long. They were like it was like a little makeout type situation, and then it transitions into the bees in the mouth. But they say they cut off a whole 2 minutes, so it's a whole 2 minutes missing from that scene and some other stuff that they said no, we just don't get to see that.
The world was not ready for that level of sexy, I guess.
Yeah.
Nope.
And then lastly, I just wanted to acknowledge, of course, the most recent Candyman and see where we want to go with that, and if we want more. Now let's see here. Here we go. Okay. And Brandon, I'm going to come back up there to you. As far as just the character and its legacy, would you be interested in us getting more Candyman films?
I would be. I had a really good time with the I'm going to say the Legacy sequel. I got to see it in theaters. I think it was a great addition to the franchise. I'd actually probably put it at if I'm ranking it, it goes Candyman, then Candyman 2021. I haven't seen the third one yet. I'll get there eventually, but I would be okay if they just ended it there. For myself, I think with those two films just back to back is a perfect double feature, and it'd be a little hard without Tony Todd at least being shoehorned in there somewhere. If they do, they're gonna have to wait at least 20 years.
I would definitely, for ranking, it's going to be the first film, the second film, this film, and then, the third one is always going to be last. Quana, what about you? Would you be interested in the character continuing on with more installments?
Yes. I mean, and I love Tony Todd, and I think just as they did with Virginia Marsden being able to use her voice in the reboot, I think they would find ways to integrate him into any additional sequels, in posterity, just to pay homage. But I mean, Yahya Abdul-Mateen, I mean, he's already amazing. I love him. I love that they brought back Vanessa's character. And I think it wasn't a perfect film, but I could see the vision of kind of what you mentioned, some of the issues that were kind of created in the first one with having this narrative of Candyman is lynched by a mob, and that's not who he's attacking. And so kind of trying to find a way to kind of bridge it over and give that power to let that power be harnessed by a new version, a new iteration who's more aware of that. I think that was a really cool thing to play with. And I think, they could continue that, but it needs to keep this level of sophistication. Cause I think that sophistication is what pays honor to Tony Todd. Cause that was a sophisticated man.
Yes.
He was sharp.
Him and all his Mozart and Bach, and he was outside the corner. He was. Polly, are you interested in it continuing on?
Sorry, I just got half a burrito from my lady. No, we were not fans of this latest Candyman iteration. We tried. We really did, but just didn't click for us. But that's just my personal feeling. That's all. But knowing Hollywood is going to Hollywood, so.
I like how Paulie earlier was like, "Don't go to Taco Bell," and then his wife magically brings him a burrito. Hey, Paulie.
Yeah.
Okay, we see you, buddy.
Well, I'm not gonna brag, and this is not a
he said he got the real stuff at the house, man.
Yeah, exactly. This ain't no Mexican food stream, but Santander, vamos, let's go. But yeah, I wanted to like that new one, but I don't know, struggles, but
No, you already know. Anybody here from my channel, y'all know how I felt about this film. So I just would love to see them, because it was almost there, but almost doesn't count. I think they could really get it right, especially if they go with the narrative of there being, multiple Candymans. We can go either way. So I'm here for another effort. Now, if you get it wrong again, leave me alone.
Maybe. Yeah.
Night Watch Zone, are you interested?
Yeah, I'm definitely curious to see what they might come up with next. I think that the newest film had a lot of great elements to it. It had some issues here and there, and I also think they could have leaned a little bit more into Tony, like even if it was just more voice over or what have you. Because when we got through the end of the film, we were watching it in the theater, and I was like, "What? Why? Where was he at?"
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like we got 3 seconds, bro.
I had put it here because that's all they gave him. Let me go back and play it because I did have it on. They did tell him to tell everyone, and that's all we got. And I remember in the movies, I was like, "That's all. That's it." Like,
right?
That was it.
That was it. I was just thinking, man, we could have at least, there was 1,000 ways they could have, done a little bit more, even if you had a shot of him from behind and, maybe he turns his head to the side and says, it could have been 1,000 ways. So I will say that was one thing that I felt was kind of weird, is that they only had that couple of seconds at the end. But the movie itself, I enjoyed it for what it was. It's definitely not as good as the first film. I agree with you. I'd probably go 1, 2, and then the new film, and then of course 3. Forget about 3. Forget about that. Don't talk about that. But yeah, I'd like to see what they could do. And again, it does have to have that level of sophistication to pay respect to the best of the series, which was the original, and to pay respect to Tony. And here's the thing, man. Candyman as a character is so layered and cool, right? Like there's so much that they could do with this character if you have the right people behind the project. And in that sense, it's like, come on, guys, make something cool out of this. He's so much more than, you know, your average slasher. I mean, he's like in the vein, like you said, the Phantom of the Opera, you know, or Christopher Lee as Dracula. I mean, like, there's like so many cool things they could do because his mythology is fascinating, and it's born out of something in the real world, right? So I hope, you know, as they move forward with something, I just hope that it can be even close to the 92 film.
Yes. Thank you. And Ken?
I didn't like the fact he was in the last one. Honestly.
You didn't want to
no, hear me out. I love Tony Todd, but the de-aging shit they put on him looked awful. I would have rather not seen him at all because I loved the idea that it was a new guy because, like I said, who was my Candyman may not have been who Tyra's looked like or what Knight's looked like or Quana's looked like. Me and Brandon, we're white, so the same guy. But, you know, like for us, it probably did. You know what I mean? Like, I love the fact that there was a different Candyman for each person. I loved that idea. I thought that opened up a whole new universe of what the potential could be for different things. And that to me, and then when they brought him back with the de-aging, I was super bummed. It just didn't even look like Tony anymore. It looked like a computer. And I don't want an Alien Romulus thing to happen with Tony in a new movie with some AI bullshit, you know? So
right.
At that point, if they're going to do it, just go all out on a new character like they did with this one and just don't include him at all. And if you do, bring Virginia Madsen back. Give me a legacy sequel with her actually being the Candy Woman, how she was at the end of the first movie. I thought that was terrifying. And I thought that was a brilliant idea, how she has her congregation now with the people from Cabrini Green. I thought that they could have continued that story and made that fucking amazing.
I couldn't believe they didn't have any connections to that. I know that was part of the plan at one point or something like that. But I was like, Virginia Madsen is like chilling at home, ready to rock. I mean, she was
very vocal about wanting to come back.
Yep, she was.
So I would love to see her reprise that role as like a Candy Woman because it would it wouldn't be, you'd have the idiots that'd be like, oh, they made it woke because they're mouth breathers, but it's an integral part of the ending of the first movie.
It is,
you know, that it literally it continues itself at the end of that first movie, and I would love to see and to see Virginia Madsen come back with that type of darkness. I think would be so dope, dope.
Man, that is a different movie. That is such a different movie. I ain't even gonna go over there, Ken, because we gotta get to this watch along. But that is a different film. Like, that's a different film. I will be here for that, but that has to be its own, you know, separate thing. But that's a different installment all in itself.
Halloween got the Cookie Woman, and we're gonna get the Candy Woman, baby.
So that's like, I think that will be like the season of the witch of the franchise.
Right. The Candyman Chronicles.
Yes, it would. But it's after 9, you guys, and I'm gonna try to get us all the way to this watch long. So I want to have this little minute to have this brief goodbye that I seen here. It kind of feels like goodbye, even though I know it's, you know, probably wasn't at this time, but I don't know if this was or when this was filmed, but I had to put it here because it just kind of feels and also looks like he was, you know, saying his piece. So we're going to say this and then we're going to get on over here to this watch along, guys.
Lauderdale, Florida. Oh my God. The Golden Skull Awards. Listen, I tried my best to be there. Unfortunately, it didn't work out this time. But right now, focus on the time you got there in beautiful Florida. It's an honor to be part of this process. I mean, I've been doing this for a while, so every accolade, every acknowledgement, all adds up and means the world to me. So, to start things off, I understand we got a screening of Candyman coming up. Candyman. written and directed by the inestimable Bernard Rose, a dear friend of mine. And based on a short story by Clive Barker. So if you haven't seen it, get ready to be surprised. It's a horror film that holds up. If you have seen it and you know your favorite parts, don't be embarrassed to make others around you as scared as they should be. So from the bottom of my soul, I want everybody down there to have fun, stay as dry as possible, and enjoy a beautiful weekend.
Okay, yeah, I just wanted to put
Yeesh.
right. Yeah.
Wow.
I just want to put that there because it just kind of felt, I thought it was nice that even just clearly how strong-willed of a man he was to even be in any state of condition and just continue working and continue to be positive and pour into other people. I just thought that was a nice moment. But that's it. We ain't gonna get emotional here. Can't get emotional here. But you guys have been great. You guys have been really, really great. Thank you so much. I don't know who's all coming over to those watch along streets, but I'm going to take a moment to acknowledge everybody here and have you guys say what's going on your channel and where people need to come over and support you. Quana, ladies, I'm going to come to you first.
Oh, there we go. Hey, y'all. Thank you so much, Tyra, once again for inviting me. You all can find me at Her Real Review pretty much everywhere on all social media platforms until they crash and burn. And I am getting ready to cover the new Alex Cross series on Amazon Prime. So if you're interested in that, come on over. It's bound to be a good time.
You're so sweet, Quana. I love you. Ken, what you got going on over there with that sledgehammer horror?
Tomorrow, I just released today my top 10 overrated horror movies. Tomorrow at 8 p.m. Eastern, we'll be doing our tier ranking of the Friday the 13th movies. Friday is our Crust review, the new Sean Whalen film. And Friday, for anybody in the Grand Rapids, Michigan area, we're going to be out there at Grand Rapids Comic-Con. So come out, hang out with us. Unfortunately, we won't be able to be there on Saturday like we originally had anticipated. Our son's football team is going for the regional championship. It was supposed to be on Friday night, so we were going to do Friday and Saturday at Comic-Con. It got moved to Saturday at 1 o'clock. So you won't be able to see us on Saturday, unfortunately, but please come out on Friday. We would love to still be able to meet you guys and shake your hands. And Ashley's very excited to meet you guys too. So join us tomorrow night on our channel for our Friday the 13th tier ranking, and hopefully we will see you guys on Friday in Grand Rapids, Michigan.
I'm coming for that. Y'all doing a tier ranking? Polly, what you got going on? I know you got some stuff.
Nothing. I ain't got nothing going on. Videos every 5 a.m. Pacific time. We got something new coming up. And what we cover on the slant is just a wide range of topics, interviews, all that good stuff. If you guys have never come on by, I strongly suggest you do. And that's really it. We really cover a lot of from Hollywood stuff to political. And what did I just put up? I can't remember. Put up something fun. I did a brutal breakdown of the new Y2K trailer, and then I compared it to an indie film called Millennium Bugs, their trailer from 2 years ago. It's the same genre, subject matter, Y2K, and I just compared the two trailers. Like, this is how you do it, and this is how you not do it. So, yeah, stuff like that.
Thank you, Polly. I like that microphone.
Yeah,
yeah, it's nice. Brandon?
Thank you so much for having us on, for starters. Having me on. Everybody go check out and like and subscribe to everybody else that's been on here. I'm trying to think of what I got planned. I think we're doing a live on Teeth sometime soon. We'll be on Wilkie's Movies and Reviews tomorrow for a live discussion. And Ken, you're coming on Monday for our top 10 2010 movies. I think that's it.
Thank you. I'm always happy to
be on there Monday, me and Ashley.
Did you say T?
Yeah.
Yes, Teeth. He said
I love
Teeth.
that
Oh
movie.
yeah, I've never seen it, so I'm excited.
Oh, it is. It's just a good one. And Night Watch. What about you?
Yeah, I mean, you can catch me on the Night Watch Zone, and we stream a couple times every week, usually on Sundays, Mondays, and Fridays, and upload videos a couple times a week, usually once or twice a week, that is. Just covering movies. We love horror, great panels, great fun, and yeah, I mean, it's just a blast talking especially about Tony, because like I said, I hadn't had a chance to really just process it. So thank you so much for having me here tonight. This was so much fun. It really was.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm glad that everybody was able to make it, and I hope everybody had an awesome time. As I said, you guys, we are getting into Candyman immediately after this live is over. The link is already up. If you are a member of the channel, then you can watch it in real time over there in the Discord. And I think this one is open, so you should still be able to go over there now as well and get into the Discord and watch it, so that way you don't have to stress about trying to find it anywhere. But you guys already know, me and the girls, we're here every day. We are here every day. Go and check out and support my review for From. Remember that we are getting into John Cross, getting into Silo, getting into a whole bunch of stuff that is dropping. But just to promote the watch along and the memberships for Saturdays, because every Saturday night we have our members only watch along. I'm going to take you guys out of here with what we have coming up this Saturday, and hopefully I see you guys over there in the Candyman watch along. Everybody here, have a good night. Thank you guys so much.
Peace
And
out.
you guys have been awesome. Thank you.
Bye-bye.
All right, Leroy. Who's the one and only master? Little punk that thinks he's a kung fu master.
That's the only guy that stands between show and total supremacy.
All right, Leroy. Who's the one and only master?
Oh, you mean Junior?
I am no master.
You sure look like a master to me.
All right, Leroy. Who's the one and only master? Keep your money, and I will designate his ass. I am no longer